Grand opening, grand closing. Welcome, my friends, my family, my fellow gamers. Only friend these YouTube streets, Puerto77. And I'm coming at ya, because you know I have to hit ya with the facts. The professor, class is in session. Sunday school is here. We taking evening courses now. To make sure you get your credits up. So you get that degree. You know what I'm saying? We working on our doctorate's degree up in here in gaming. So I was trying to formulate on how to work this, right? We seen the interview with Phil Spencer on Kind of Funny Games. And we seen multiple perspectives on how people felt or how people viewed Phil Spencer's comments. If you haven't seen my video, if you're new to the channel, I highly encourage you to stop watching this video, go watch the video I uploaded about that. So you can see my perspective on how, my view on how that video interview was conducted. Then come back to this, because then this will make more sense on why I'm making this video. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because we've seen multiple perspectives on what Phil Spencer said. Let's all have a little bit of honesty here. If you already don't like Phil Spencer in the way he's and I'm not talking about personally. I'm talking about, you know, in the way he's running things and the way so far he handled Xbox over the last 10 years. You're going to look at his interview in a more negative light. It's just going to make things worse. But if you're a big supporter for Phil Spencer, for God knows why, for whatever reason, maybe you met him at E3, maybe he's a good friend, maybe you're too personally attached to the guy, I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe you want to give him more benefit of, I don't know. But you're going to look at his thing in a more positive light and try to explain it, either or. And that battle's never gonna end. At the end of the day, it's gonna come down to agree to disagree. But with that, I offer you an alternate perspective to give you a different view of Phil Spencer by way of PlayStation. Right? Everybody knows I'm a huge PlayStation fan. Before that, I was a Sega fan. You know, things like that. But that's neither here nor there. We're gonna talk about PlayStation. We're gonna talk about how PlayStation recovered from the PS3 era through philosophy, what were their priorities. And we're going to take a look and hear about it and then ask yourself, is that what Phil Spencer did, you know, in your opinion, when he took over as the head honcho of Xbox in 2013? Give an honest answer of how you feel. We're going to dissect this right here. This is Sean Layden 4 years ago. So this was 2019 at the Academy of Interactive Arts and Science. He gave a keynote speech. And he talks about the priorities, you know, of PlayStation. What are their priorities, their vision. And they talked about the PlayStation 3. I will go deeper into the conversation PlayStation 3 because I know that was over a decade ago. I mean, think about it. We're in 2023. 10 years ago was 2013. The PlayStation 3 disaster began in 2006 when it launched. Maybe even before, well, even before that during E3. So you're talking 16 years, 17 years. It was a long time ago. For some of you, you were there. You were, you know, a young adult, maybe an older teenager. You remember what's going on. Many of you were just younger, you know. I mean, think about it. You know, if you're 30 years old right now, you were probably like 13 or 14 then. That's how long ago this was. In fact, let me get the specific number. Let me show you how crazy this was. We'll take it back to the E3 2006, right? So we'll say 2006. So 2023 minus, you know, 2006. You're talking 17 years ago. So where were you 17 years ago? If you're 19 years old now watching my channel, you were 2 years old when this happened. If you're 25, 17 years ago, you were what, 8? So even you guys who are 25, 26 years old now, you were little kids back then, right? And those of you who were probably 17, 18, 19, 20, maybe during that time in 2006, you didn't even pay attention because YouTube was in its infancy. There was no Twitter. Everything was new. And maybe it wasn't probably the time in your life where you cared about the behind the scenes and the knowledge behind it. You probably just cared about games and that's it. Maybe you were in college. There's so much in context to the situation. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we progress to catch you up. So some of you know, if you know, you know. For those of you who don't, I'm going to show you. And I'm going to also open up to those of you who think you know and then realize, oh, wow, I never really saw that generation that way. Because the PlayStation 3 is a very divisive generation. You tell somebody, hey, the PlayStation 3 was actually a failure. They're going to tell you, no, Sony won the generation. I'm about to open up some facts here. All right, PlayStation guys? I'm going to open up some facts. Listen, you come to this channel for me to be honest. But when I present to you the honesty behind it, it's not like I'm going to make it up. I have no, reason to just tell you what I feel, whatever. I'm going to show you the information. And then, so that way you can realize, you know what? I never looked at it from that perspective. The PlayStation 3 was a bad generation. But I'm going to explain why. It doesn't sound like it, right? Because we remember fantastic games like The Last of Us, right? Infamous, right? Metal Gear Solid 4, Uncharted 2. But those amazing games kind of like covered a lot of bad things about that. And we're going to get into that, right? But the main point of this is, look what Sony did during their disaster moment. And what decisions and priorities they made. And then ask yourself, did Microsoft make those similar decisions to ensure the Xbox brand elevated, right? So let's go find out right here. Let's start this off.
But, as to quote Peter Parker's Uncle Ben, with great power there must also come great responsibility. As we have this tremendous moment, I want to share with you a few of the biggest lessons we have learned through game development. Number one, quality above all. Our fans trust us to make amazing gaming experiences for them, and we must fulfill that promise. And if this takes more time, we have to give it more time.
So right off the bat, what is the number one priority? The so what of PlayStation? Quality above all. There is a promise to the fans. PlayStation must deliver that promise to the fans. Notice that is the first point. Nothing else. You didn't hear him talk about being part of the community, make us feel like we're part of something, right? Those words, right? We heard those words before. Right off the gate. Quality above all. Now, do you understand the terms above all means? That means if you come out Porter, but what about this? No, quality is more important. Oh no, Porter Rock, but what about this? Quality above that too. That is what the term quality above all means. There is nothing you can mention that is going to be above the quality of the games. That is literally their number one priority.
New IP isn't always easy, but it's always necessary. Whether taking a risk on a new title or to promote a new system, we have to take chances to grow and learn and continue to push our industry forward.
The second priority, try to create new IPs. So Sony's not like ignorant into the thought of, hey, we gotta give our studios creativity and stuff like that. They know that. They even said it's necessary. It's important to gaming that you create new IPs. But make no mistake, your efforts to create new IPs has to go back to the number one point, the number one obligation, which is quality above all. So make whatever game you want, but your new game will meet the standard that is the number one priority. Quality above all.
Finally, we can't predict how people will play, but play they will. We have the chance to continue to grow this audience, to welcome new voices in the fan base and in the development community, to broaden our tent for gaming.
So even Sony recognizes that in the long run, how people play games, who's going to be able to play games, what audiences. You saw one with disability, so he's kind of talking about that. But in the future, hey, how people are going to play the games is going to be a newer territory. But make no mistake, people are going to be playing games. But that's the last point. What's the number one point? Everybody say it with me. Quality above all. Above everything else. And this is the message I've been trying to, let the community know. That the quality games is at the heart, is at the very center of gaming. Everything outside of it will always lead back to quality games. Oh, you want to play your games on the phone through the cloud? What games are you playing? Quality games. Oh, you want to play on your console? What games are you playing on console? Quality games. Oh, you went from console to PC. You don't want to play on console no more because you love the feature, the freedom of choice and resolutions. Cool. What exactly are you playing on your PC? Quality games. No matter the mechanism or method of how you decide to play your games, the games must be quality at heart. This is why Sony made this as the number one priority. The marketing, all that stuff, online features, all that stuff is enhanced or really begins with the quality games. Without the quality games, you got nothing. Nothing else is going to make the platform good. Now I'm going to skip ahead to another segment because a lot of it's just conversation and doesn't really take part of the intent. But here, this is where it gets good because this is where we're going to talk about PlayStation 3.
Journalists and others. Today, back in PD, as chairman of Worldwide Studios, I'm proud to work with some of the most talented creators and some of the best studios in the world, making some of the greatest games anywhere, if I may humbly say so. Games that innovate, excite, and when we get it right, we raise the bar. This focus on quality was instilled in me during my early years at Sony, which was well before PlayStation was a twinkle in Ken Kutaragi's eye.
Now notice he continues to talk about quality. He even talked that when they create the games, it's not just creating great games, they're making games that raise the bar for the industry. This is their mindset at PlayStation. It's no longer about just make great games. They're going to create games that paves the way, that leads the industry. They're going to raise the bar. Y'all better follow and keep up. And this is something that's instilled and he learned just from the Sony DNA. Hear more about it.
Way back then in the 80s, I worked directly for Sony founder and chairman, Akio Morita. Quality above all. Morita-san launched Sony to enable technologists, engineers, dreamers to work together to find out what they were passionate about and to do the things that others do not. By the 80s, Sony was riding high because of the spirit and focus from Morita-san on quality and innovation. Morita-san taught me that quality of the products was fundamental if we are to exceed our customers' expectations.
Listen to him. Quality is fundamental in order to exceed our expectation. It is the fundamental part of this. Are you hearing this from Phil Spencer when every time he talks? Is this, for you Xbox guys, do you feel what you're hearing now that Sean Laners talks about when he talks about Sony, he talks about PlayStation, is that what you're feeling when you play on Xbox? Is that the message we're hearing from Xbox? This is why I'm doing this video. Put that interview in context. Put almost any interview that Phil Spencer has ever done since he took over. Do you get the feeling that he's on this level? That he actually looks at Xbox the way Sean Layden looks at PlayStation?
That even when pushing technological boundaries, we must always make delighting our fans the key priority.
Delighting our fans, the key priority. Do you feel like you're the key priority on Xbox? Only you can answer that. I don't care what answer you say. Because I already seen the internet long enough that the internet is more, people on social media are more prone to cap than to be honest. And so really whatever answer you say is whatever answer you say. I'm just asking you the question so you can ask for yourself. Go look in the mirror. Ask the question and answer yourself. Don't answer me. Whatever you say, that's on you.
He would say we must forever push innovation, even if it meant murdering our darlings. We have to make our products obsolete before other people do, because they will. Mortison understood well the innovator's dilemma and grappled with it constantly. Of course, times change.
Oh, this is when it gets good. This is where it gets good. We're going to talk about some stuff. Hold on. Hey, if you need to pause the video, grab a drink. You know what I'm saying? Last time I recommended Thug Passion because we were thugging it out. It's Sunday night, little nightcap. What would be a good drink right now? What would be a good drink? What can I recommend? Some scotch? You know what I'm saying? Maybe a little bit of scotch whiskey, you know what I'm saying? You know, something, you know, a little bit of cognac, something to mellow you out. So I recommend a little bit of cognac, straight, some scotch. We'll see where it goes, you know, or just have a classic beer, you know. Don't drink that bullshit, you know, Coors Light, whatever. You know, have a nice, good premium beer. Get you a premium beer out there, right? Prepare yourself.
But the cascade of challenges is relentless. Many of you know that PlayStation 2 was an industry triumph. It remains one of the best-selling consoles of all time, but coming off the heels of that was PlayStation 3, a stark moment of hubris in the nearly 25 years of PlayStation history. As we sometimes call it, PS3 was our Icarus moment. That was when I returned from London to join Sony Computer Entertainment Japan, and for our business, the fall was sharp. We hadn't listened to our customers. We created a devilish development environment. We reacted too slowly, and our network was underdeveloped. And worst of all, if you remember, was the price point. While the PlayStation 3 and our fight to stay relevant has been well covered, what wasn't as well covered was the call we made at that time to transform our company.
So he's going to go into talk about what they did to turn it around, but he didn't really cover how bad it really got. He said worst of all was the price point. No, that was not the worst of all. I understand he had a short time. He can't go into full detail. The keynote is not about the rise and fall of PlayStation 3, whatever. I'm going to break down how bad it was, and it was bad. Let's kick off my first piece of information. Gabe Newell. This is October 2007, right? Approximately just under a year when the PlayStation launched in America, which was November 2006. It says, Gabe Newell calls PlayStation 3 a waste of everybody's time. Gabe Newell really hates the PS3. In recent interview with Next Gen, he blasted Sony's system due to its frustrating architecture, calling the system a waste of everybody's time. Investing in the cell, investing in the SPE gives you no long-term benefit. There's nothing there that you're going to apply to anything else. You're not going to gain anything except a hatred of the architect they've created. Because of this taste for PS3, the critically acclaimed Orange Box is not being ported to PS3 by Valve. Rather, EA is handling the port, and he's confident that they'll make the PS3 version a good product. EA got the job done in putting a lot of PS3 experience on a project. He does note that it's harder to get it to the same standard as the 360 PC. Alright? I think he even said, if I remember correctly, that, and I will click to see. Oh man, it's not, that ain't gonna work. If I remember correctly, he even said that they should just scrap it and do over. This is how bad. Now, let me ask you a simple question. Even during the Xbox One, has any major developer between the Xbox One generation or even this generation? Now, we heard this generation, developers are not happy with the Xbox Series S. It's making things trouble. But have you seen during the Xbox One generation or the Xbox Series generation currently now, a major developer like Gabe Newell to his level actually call out an Xbox and say, this product is dog shit, scrap it, it's a waste of everybody's time? I'll sit here and wait. Nope. As bad as Xbox One and Xbox Series was, no one went that hard on Xbox, telling it just scrap this whole project. It's a waste of time. Let me give you another piece of information. Look at this. It's 2007. PS3 not enough for GTA 4. Phil Harrison offers the reason. Okay? He says, after losing GTA 5, Harrison said that the PlayStation 3 was not suitable to be the exclusive home of Rockstar's upcoming title. I don't think PS3 has the install base to support Rockstar's investment in GTA 4 on its own, Harrison told assembled bloggers. The first next-gen Grand Theft Auto game likely cost Rockstar considerable money and development time. That being such, it couldn't have sold enough copies on PS3 alone to make exclusivity worth it. In the future, as the number of PS3s in homes grow, it should become easier to nab major exclusives. What's the lesson in that? PlayStation 3 was selling like dog shit, and they lost the ability to keep Grand Theft Auto 4 exclusive to the platform. I remember an interview with Jack Train. He went into more specifics where Rockstar approached Sony and told them, because believe it or not, GTA 4 was part of that exclusivity deal that Sony established during who knows how far back. But Rockstar showed them the metrics. They told them, your console's selling like dog poop. We're going to lose money. This will hurt us. We need to go multiplat. During that time, Sony said fine. They had no choice. But they did say, hey, in this deal, we need an exclusive. And that's when the agent was supposed to be part of it. We never got the agent. That was announced as an exclusive, but it never came to fruition. Maybe Sony modified the deal. Different discussion for a different time. But things got so bad that PlayStation, even in their own admission, they couldn't hold on to GTA 4 exclusivity to help the platform sell. They couldn't. That's how bad it was. But wait up. It gets worse. Oh yeah, it gets worse. You thought that was it? Let me give you more. Now, let's use the calendar. PlayStation launch, obviously it was different dates. I think Japan was early in the year 2006. It launched in North America November 2006, and then it launched in Europe in February 2007. But we'll use North America as like the anchor of calendar. So November 2006. Would you know that almost 3 years later, 2009, PlayStation is still getting uppercutted? Still getting that beat down. Almost 3 years later. By who? By none other than Activision. Look at that. I'm not lying to you people. Activision says may stop supporting PS3 report from Reuters. San Francisco. Activision Blizzard Chief Executive Bobby Kotick said in a published report on Friday it may stop making video games for Sony's PlayStation 3, the number 3 console in the United States, due to high costs and poor sales. In an interview with Times of London, Kotick complained that the PS3 $399 price tag is too high and said the game publisher might stop supporting the console. Kotick was quoted as saying, "I'm getting concerned about Sony. This is 2009, bro. 3 years. Almost 3 years since the console launch. I'm getting concerned about Sony. The PlayStation 3 is losing a bit of momentum and they don't make it easy for me to support the platform. It's expensive to develop for the console and the Wii and Xbox are just selling better." Kotick said in 2011, Activision might want to consider if we support the console and the PSP 2. Now tell me, it's almost 3 years for Xbox, but what major developer is saying, hey, we might have to drop support from Xbox? What major developer during the Xbox One gen said, you know what, Xbox One is dog shit, we might stop supporting Xbox One? None. So look at the PS3 tragedy. You got one major developer saying, this thing is a waste of everybody's time. You got a major publisher saying, we might stop supporting this. The last time something that disastrous, that big happened was during the Dreamcast era when EA stopped supporting the Dreamcast. And that was a major blow. Sega Dreamcast was faced with a number of obstacles the moment the console hit shelves, and Electronic Arts was one of them. The publisher behind the massively successful Madden series opted to not support the console, meaning Dreamcast owners weren't able to play any of its best-selling sports games. Okay? Let me show you. At the end of the day, though, it's a business, right? It's all about the money. Thanks to ZooEX, Daniel Ahmed. You see this little chart? This represents PlayStation 1. This represents PlayStation 2. What do you think this red represents? PlayStation 3. The final 2 years ago, they started making a little bit of change, as you can see here. Then with the launch of the PS4, losing money, got dipped. But then you've seen from PlayStation, from 14, 15 fiscal year on, they blew it out the box. PlayStation 4 just really saved this brand. They really saved this company. But as you can see, technically speaking, the majority of the years of PlayStation 3 was nothing but losing money. And these two right here don't make up. Look at this. This is a massive drop right here. This alone. It took years to recover from this. And this is why I'm trying to tell you, some of you don't realize that PlayStation 3 technically is a failure. Look how much money Sony lost on this. This brand, if PlayStation 4 didn't do this, we wouldn't have a PlayStation 5. It will be over. It will be a wrap. Right? But people, because of the games, people don't look at PlayStation 3 as a failed generation. Why? Because it's about the quality of the games. So when we think of PlayStation 3 as a generation, some will even say it did better than Xbox. Because it had the games, it had the bangers, it had the game of the years. Uncharted 2, Demon Souls, The Last of Us, Infamous. It was just, when Sony finally got their stuff together, it started popping off. And then at the same time, Microsoft shifted to just Halo Gears and Forza, and Project Natal. The last couple of years of Xbox kind of like dwindled down the high momentum they established. And that was due to the shift of going from Peter Moore to Don Matrick. Once Don Matrick took over, things started getting a little bit weird. Right? This is what I'm telling you. This is the reality of PS3. The gen was a disaster for that brand. It was bad. It was really bad. So now we're going to hear. So now that I painted a true clear picture of the PlayStation 3 being as bad of a disaster that it is, we're about to hear what they focused on to fix this. This is what they had to fix. Let's find out.
Into what we are today. We doubled our efforts to develop incredible games and strengthen our partnerships for the next generation.
Wow, he went straight to the point. He went straight to the point. He wasted no time to say what was the first priority. They doubled their efforts to create amazing games. Wow, that was quick. That didn't take long to get to the point. The so what? Double their efforts to create amazing games. When Phil Spencer took over Xbox in 2013, 2014, you think that was the first thing he said? Hey, we need to double our efforts to create amazing games. You think he said that? I don't know. You let me know.
We listen to developers and gamers. We listen to this guy, Mark Cerny. He's here somewhere, I think. We created PS4, a console for developers as much as it was for fans. We focused on the quality of our games, on making titles that would stand the test of time.
Once again, they focus on creating games to stand the test of time.
The way that the best pieces of art often do.
So let's check this out. Let's look at the mind of Minolta. For those of you who remember that phrase, let's look deep in the mind of Minolta. Listen to what he said. The way people look at timeless pieces of art. So this isn't just about creating great games at this point. He's not trying to create great games. He doesn't look at PlayStation as just a device where you can have amazing games or whatever and play great games, and that PlayStation is going to get back on track with, blah, 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 blah. This guy's like, hey, you developers, you're Leonardo da Vinci. You're Michelangelo. You are Shakespeare. You will create timeless art. That's what you guys are responsible for. If you make a game for PlayStation, I want your game to be sitting right next to the Mona Lisa at the Louvre in France. And when we create this PlayStation 4, he doesn't want people to look at it as just a great device. When you think of PlayStation 4, or when you think of PlayStation as a brand, Mount Rushmore, the Grand Canyon, the Eiffel Tower, the Sistine Chapel, the Great Wall of China, the Pyramids of Egypt, PlayStation. That's PlayStation. It's going to sit at the Smithsonian with some of the best works. You got the Bill of Rights, the Constitution of the United States, PlayStation. Right there. That's the first thing they try to establish. We're going to create art that stands the test of time. Long when their bones are dead, they're dead, and their bones are deep on the ground, and the maggots eat their flesh, their names will be remembered. Like Socrates and Homer writing a poem. That is a huge expectation for your brand, but the expectation was set. Do you feel Phil did that? Don't try to convince me of your answer. Just ask yourself, is that how Phil feels about his Xbox? Does he feel that his Xbox is on the same level as the pyramids of Egypt?
Games like The Last of Us, Uncharted, Infamous. During that era, we also began work on many of our more recent, highly acclaimed titles, including God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Bloodborne. With each move, we listened to our fans and respected our founders. Always Morita-san in the back of our minds. We focused on delivering innovation and quality across our portfolio.
There's that word again. How many times has he said the word quality in this keynote? How many times you hear the word quality from Phil Spencer?
As a member of our senior management team, we would discuss how to provide the freedom and time to our creators to make games into incredible stories and experiences for our fans. To bring to life entertainment that would engage and inspire. But also, we remember, real artists ship. We have to meet expectations for our fans and for our company. We seek to strike the right balance between our developers and our business while living up to the promise we make to our fans. I think it works because at the end, we really all have the same goal. No one wants to make a game hardly anyone plays and no one finishes. We all want as many people as possible to experience our creations. Sometimes that means adding time, doubling down, and truly believing in a team that can take a beloved franchise to a new and more powerfully expressive level, a la God of War. Sometimes it means choosing to do the new thing. New IP isn't always easy, but it's always necessary. Imagine for a moment that a game studio comes up to you. They want to make a game set in a post-apocalyptic Colorado, where the heroine protagonist fights against...
Now he's going to talk about the importance of new IP. Now I want you to think about what Phil Spencer says when he says you got to give studios the creative freedom. Now, I agree with Phil Spencer with that point, and you're going to hear a similar point here. But what I don't agree with Phil Spencer is, because he used that point for Redfall, is there's a fine line between creative but technical proficiency in making a great game. It is good that he's allowing the studios to have creative ideas, but that doesn't mean you allow technical incompetence of the game itself. Listen to the story with Horizon.
Robot dinosaurs. Or you could go with a title that's more similar to what that studio has made in the past, a supernatural shooter that brings in werewolves and a few of the first-person shooting mechanics that studio is known for. We looked at Guerrilla Games' proposal, heard what they were saying. They wanted to take a new direction. So they solicited pitches from their own studio, from internal, and received more than 30 pitches, including an idea from their art director that became Horizon Zero Dawn. The world was a complete 180 from what that studio had delivered previously. We had begun working with Guerrilla way back when to have a first-person shooter called Killzone developed for the launch of PlayStation 3. The studio didn't have any experience in open-world action RPGs. Herman Hulst, the studio director, pitched both Horizon and the title they had polished to readiness, the werewolf thing, and then polled the group, the studio, and developers and leadership about what they wanted to do. All hands went up for Horizon. Some people have said, no one would be interested in robot dinosaurs. You know who you are. Yet again, creativity wins. We trusted our team, and over the ensuing years in development, Guerrilla demonstrated that great studios with a focus on making great games can create significant titles in new genre. And sometimes our studios must make great games that push our platform forward. Our PlayStation VR platform.
Now he's going to go into VR, so we'll skip that. But you can see, and I think that werewolf game was Order 1886, and they handed it off to Ready at Dawn, because it sounds familiar, right? And it became a third-person shooter, so I have a feeling that's how the inspiration of 1886. Conversation different time. But you saw what they went through. Guerrilla wanted to go completely out of the box. Completely. Something they never done. He even told them they have no experience in open-world action RPG. But Sony allowed them to say, yeah, go for it. It's important. But when the game came out for its time and on the platform was able to, it was a technically competent game. In fact, it was one of the best looking games of that generation. Horizon Zero Dawn game is graphically a masterpiece. Guerrilla makes technical graphical masterpieces. You see what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with Arcane making Redfall. Nothing wrong with trying to make this multiplayer co-op whatever against vampires as an idea. Great idea. The technical incompetence behind it, the bad AI, the lack of 60 frames option because of the hardware and the generation that we're in. Granted, Horizon for Zero Dawn didn't have 60 option, but it was the PS4, very underpowered console at that time. Not gonna, you know what I'm saying? So totally different generations in terms of the expectation of power and performance, right? Not the braided MDI, the massive glitch. You know, you all seen the issues people are talking about with Earthfall. That is not that's not creativity at all. That's technical issues that should have been addressed. And if you have a rule, if your priority, number one priority, is quality above all, you would have never launched that game the way it is. And this is not the first time we've seen Microsoft launch terribly games in a terrible condition. Whether it's Crackdown 3, State of the Gate 2, it's just, you know, it just gets worse and worse with them. So this is a normal thing. So again, I ask you, is quality above all a thing for Microsoft? Is Phil Spencer projecting that? Is he telling his developers that all these games are art and that they have to be timeless masterpieces, like some of the best art in books, in music, and painting, that are in sculpture? Do you think he's giving that impression? Do you think the developers? Let me ask you this: if you were to ask each studio head that is under Microsoft, without Phil Spencer being there, and you ask them separately, not at the same time, individually, and you ask them, hey, what is Phil Spencer's number one priority? And you ask each of them, you think they will all answer Phil's number one priority is the quality of the games? Do you think they will all, on their own, say, yeah, that's his number one priority? Because I don't. In fact, I personally believe that if you were to ask each studio on the Microsoft on their own, you go to turn 10, I ask them this question: what is Phil Spencer's number one priority? And then I take a trip, go down to Arcane Studio, I go to Coalition, each and every one of them, and I ask them the same question: what is Phil Spencer's number one priority? I have a feeling most of them will give me a different answer, because I don't think they know what Phil Spencer's. I think they know, but each of them separately probably will give a different answer. They all would not be unified. This. If you were to ask PlayStation, they will tell you PlayStation wants the next Mona Lisa. They probably all tell you that. Hey, what's PlayStation's number one priority? To create the next Mona Lisa. Every game they create, whether it's an indie or it's a AAA, it's got to be something that will transcend time. They will probably tell you that.
But I want you to remember that no matter what comes next, we really can't predict how people will play, but people will play. We have a unique position in the industry. We have a unique industry in and of itself. We don't make cars. We don't make refrigerators. We make games.
Hold on. Sean. We don't make refrigerators. Yo, if he only knew how this gen would turn out, man. We don't make refrigerators. Hey, yo, this dude had no idea, bro. Sean, I'm sorry if you only knew that there is a first party company that is making refrigerators. Oh my God, bro. Oh, he said we don't make refrigerators. We don't make cars. Sony technically is making cars. Not PlayStation, but Sony is. Or at least whatever. But the refrigerator part, there is literally an Xbox fridge. Oh my God. Like, I don't even know how to wear my hat now, bro. Like, yo, this shit's crazy. This shit's crazy, bro.
We make experiences that entertain and inspire. We lift people out of their daily lives and give them the opportunity to become an astronaut exploring far-off planets, or an adventurer looking for lost treasures, or a cowboy needing a horse. And one thing I can assure you, from more than 20 years in this business, the technology will change. We will have new, more gone through tectonic shifts that have simultaneously pushed the technology. We don't make cars, we don't make refrigerators, we make games. We make experiences that entertain and inspire. We lift people out of their daily lives and give them the opportunity to become an astronaut for more than 20 years in this business. The technology will change. We will have new, more advanced ways to play, updated graphics, seamless interfaces. I've seen our platforms transform from playing compact discs, which we don't anymore actually, to becoming home entertainment hubs that pull an entire digital storefront right into your living room.
So I'm going to stop his conversation, and I'm sorry, I was muted, but I was just apologizing, right? Sony is a hardware company that is involved in music, movies, cameras, film. So if you honestly believe that Sony is completely clueless about cloud, then you're just being a clueless fanboy. If anything, it was Sony that was the first party. I'm not gonna say the first, because other people mentioned cloud gaming before Sony, way before Sony, like on live. But Sony, in terms of the first party, meaning the big three, Nintendo, PlayStation, Sony, and Microsoft, they were the first to actually address it to the audience back in 2014 with PS Now. They were the first telling people about cloud gaming, and they actually started as an initiative to do it. They were the first. Here, let me do something for y'all. Let me put this over here. I should have. Damn, I'm sorry. I should have already had this already. I apologize. I just thought about this now. But let me just find this image. I think it was at E3. There we go. Found it. This is the image. This is the image. This was at one of the E3s where Sony. Did it disappear? Ha! Let me do it again. Here we go. Here we go. Back to reality. Okay. If you see it now, there you go. All right. As you can see, that right there, and let me angle it so we're gonna go boom. As you can see right there, this is like television, tablet, smartphone. Sony was talking all about that stuff, right? Right? But then over time, they pulled it back. They closed it out of televisions, they closed it out of tablets and phones, and they just limited actual PS Now to just PC and console. You can still remote play, but the actual streaming, they just shrunk it down. It probably did not meet the number one priority. And what's the number one priority? The quality of the games. That's the number one priority, right? Even with the vision that Sony clearly has, saying that, hey, technology is going to change, how gamers play their games might change, but they know gamers are still going to play. But no matter which direction goes, they are grounded in their number one philosophy, which is quality. On Twitter, I use an analogy. If you have a restaurant, right? You have two restaurants. And I could go even further because Twitter obviously limits you with characters. You have two restaurants. You got restaurant number one that only has two ways you can eat food. It's order on a menu. That's it. They just have order on your menu option. And as far as eating, you can eat indoors. That's it. Or you can take it to go. That's it. They have no delivery options. There's no outdoor patio. Nothing else. Here's the menu. Eat inside. Go away. That's it. Then you got the second restaurant. The restaurant has a menu you can order food from, or they have the buffet options. You could either choose one or the other, or both. You could just eat whatever's on a buffet for one consistent price, or you can eat, or you could order from the menu. You can dine in inside the restaurant. They also have an eating area outside the restaurant that, let's say, looks over the lake or the ocean. Beautiful looking view. There's a band playing or a DJ. You can hear music. You can also take your food to go. They have a separate area where you can pick up your food, or they will deliver the food to you. So you have multiple options. Buffet, order out of a menu, eat indoors, eat outdoors, take it to go, or have the food delivered. Much more accessible options on what to eat and how to eat, as compared to the other restaurant where it's just eat indoors or take it to go and no buffet. But here's the kicker. Restaurant number 1, where it's just eat indoors or take it to go, and there's only the menu, the food is banging. This shit is mouth-watering. Like meat off the bone ribs, pause. Steaks is just exquisite. You know? The sides, the loaded potato, baked potato. Oh my God. It's just the dessert, the coffee. It is delicious meals, right? Think of your favorite meals. It is just good. The burger is just thick and juicy, all that stuff. Like you just think about the quality food and it's delicious. The dessert's delicious across the board. Compliments to the chef. While the other restaurant that has all these options, the food is mediocre as hell. The steak is dry. There's no seasoning on any of the appetizers. It's not good, man. You don't think about the food. Which restaurant is going to be more successful? And why? It's the restaurant with the quality food. Why? Because no matter how the delivery is for the restaurant, the point of the restaurant isn't the delivery or the method. It's the food. And when you have quality above all food, that's all you're going to think about. You're just going to think about, man, I could really use, that porterhouse. Ooh. And that loaded mashed potatoes. I think I want to go eat there. Babe, you want to eat there? Yeah, man, I'm going to get those baby back ribs. Okay, let's in the rice pilaf, whatever. Let's go do it. It's that food that it gravitates you to go there. But the other restaurant is not. I won't even think about it. Why would I think about a restaurant whose food is mediocre? That's not going to be on my mind. And then when somebody approaches me, but like, hey, you ever ate at restaurant number 2? I'm like, oh yeah, the food ain't that good. Like, and they could be like, but we could eat. It's a beautiful day. We could eat outside. I heard they have a nice view and play some music. I'm like, if we go, I'm just gonna get drinks. And I'll just hang out with you. But like, the food ain't that great. If you're hungry, that ain't the spot. And then they be like, so what is the spot? Restaurant number 1. Doesn't have the options on a buffet, but I'm gonna tell you, bro. You pick from that menu, it's what's up. And that's PlayStation's attitude. And that's what this video is really trying to show you gamers. No matter the method of how you play games, if the games are quality above all else, then you're going to gravitate to it. Sure, in 10 years, we could potentially, 10, 15, 20 years, we could go from a community where people gravitate to consoles to now they gravitate to the cloud, to the streaming, because all the issues of it is finally fixed. And that day might come, but make no mistake, in the world where it's now consoles are dead, hardwares are dead, or it's very niche, barely relevant, and the main thing is the ecosystem and where you log on and sign on, make no mistake, the result's going to be the same. People will log on and sign on to the app that has the quality games, and the app that doesn't have quality games, they're going to ignore. It's going to be the same thing. Tailor it how you want. But make no mistake, the quality of the content is where people are going to gravitate to. In 20 years, if consoles are gone, there is no more consoles. Let's say that world no longer exists. And the world that exists is literally an application that you can log on to your TV, you can log on to your PC, tablet, whatever, to access a library of games. Whoever runs that app that has quality above all, people will log on to that app. And the other app, people are not going to log on to. Very few. Everybody's going to gravitate to the one with the quality. People, consumers will always gravitate to quality. It is what it is. I don't know how else to put it. So now you need to ask yourself, again, final question, post it in the comments section. Did Phil, when he took over Xbox in 2013, did he tell everybody, right off the bat, not a discussion, quality above all? Does Xbox Studios understand that? This is your boy PorterRock77. If you're new to the channel, stick around. Please subscribe and like. Hit up the comment section. Let me know what you think. I will see you Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 60 frames, no lag. We will discuss this with the panel. Quality above all. It is what it is. Grand opening, grand closing.